A horrific case that occurs in Spain's Madrid suburbs. The high-profile case of Denise Dragon is a clear illustration of how young maximalism, morbid jealousy, and passion using illicit substances can result in tragedy, destroying 3 young lives at once. I am not the oldest participant. Fearful of this word, the primary cause of this story occurred during the catastrophe. I was only 22 years old, and the 2 females that he desperately tried to keep. Playing with their feelings were only 17 and 19 years old. Their love triangle did not survive very long, resulting in 2 pregnancies, creeping and finally cold-blooded. Murder Mario Topanera was born in Spain, a little town in Madrid's suburbs, Alcorcón, in 1996. The younger man he never troubled himself with learning, finding a decent job. Throughout his 22 years, he lived in the home of his parents and interrupted by casual. Earnings were the guy's greatest passion. He drew graffiti perfectly, but not applying his talent as an artist anywhere, feeling satisfied with tiny part-time work painting exterior walls and inside buildings. Mario's primary source of income was he did not sell any illegal substances. However, he became attracted. Customers were brought to a distant A section of the city where his acquaintance may get everything at buyer request. Topanera received a significant percentage of he was involved in every such deal, interested in locating such persons. It is unclear whether the parents knew. What was their son doing? But if they did, they clearly turned a blind eye. It's worth noting that Mario he has a bright appearance and a strong personality. I enjoyed authority among friends and lots of popularity among the opposite sex. The young man expertly utilized his charisma, easily formed acquaintances, and frequently twirled romance with numerous gals at the same time. We do not wish to burden himself with meaningful relationships. Denise Maria Dragon was the native of She was born in Romania in 2001, the family of Emil and Daniela Dragon. The girl's parents her birth were still very young, and they in a terrible financial situation. Because of the circumstances, they were forced to work in Spain, leaving their little girl under the care of grandparents. A few years later, the couple were ability to legalize in a foreign country find an excellent work, and more or less they established their regular lives by taking their young daughter to their home in sunny Spain. The girl immediately settled in. She made friends in her new place. I found it easy to learn the language. At school, she received great marks in practically all subjects. In addition, the young girl took interest in dancing, willingly spent several hours per day in the studio, routinely participated in a variety of competitions while the daughter was in middle school. Her parents' marriage gave a crack. They decided to separate. Following the divorce, the child was left live with her mother, but not her father. Even though he had the family continued to care for her in all forms of facilitated communication were helpful. Financially and in every way attempted to participate in the life of his daughter. Soon her mother remarried, and 1 year later, the girl had a younger brother whom she admired and spent a lot of time spending time with him. At the age of 16, Denise determined that I wanted to perfect the art of hairdressing. To become a stylist, she left her studies and dance classes, concentrating. Her parents are completely focused on her new passion, did not discourage her or somehow stop her from allowing her kid to make her own decision to earn experience. Denise took a job at a beauty salon, which belongs to her relatives. The third heroine in this epic story, the final link in the love triangle, was a 19-year-old girl named Rocio Martinez. She was born and reared in a suburb of Madrid. Her father was a police officer who he was transferred to Alcorcón, where the entire family relocated. Rocio from childhood was impetuous, outrageous, and sometimes even harsh. She was used to always achieve what she wanted and did not tolerate rejection. Even from a young age, the girl was diagnosed with diabetes and serious. She had heart difficulties. To take medication on a regular basis, monitor her routine and diet, but her health concerns did not deter her from bad. Company is experimenting with unlawful substances. She drank drinks, used drugs, and consistently participated in petty thefts robberies with her pals. However, thanks to her police officer, Rocio was never charged for her acts. She trusted in her immunity and that whatever she did, her father would receive her out of danger in addition to Rocio. She was pretty attractive and had a lot of admirers and admirers. Denise left school and started as a stylist. She had more spare time. She devoted time to socializing. With friends since high school, she had Denise's best friend is named Sylvia, confessed all her secrets and fears. On a spring evening in 2018, walking throughout the city with her pal, the young lady met Mario by mistake. Attractive and cheery guy, immediately I managed to lure Denise into a conversation. Began between them and in the evening. On the same day, they traded phones, numbers. Soon, the young people had an affair. They saw one another virtually every day, and the bond evolved quickly, for the Denise actually fell for the first time in her life. In love, and her chosen one appeared to be her ideal, turned out to be that they shared many mutual interests and enjoyed the same films, same music. I adored dogs and dreamed of traveling world only a few days after meeting Denise. She invited her chosen one to a family meal to introduce him to her mother. However, Daniela did not approve of her. Daughter chooses the woman immediately. I didn't like Denise's lover. Something about he alerted her and even scared her. Mother hurriedly inquired about him. She was frightened to learn that. Mario is involved in the trade in illicit drugs. Daniela had a serious chat with her daughter, hoping that she will end her connection with a guy who Denise calmed down, despite her questionable image. She promised her mother that she would break up with her sweetheart, but she continued to meet with him. Denise instantly realized that Mario is not as pleasant and kind as he wishes. It appears the young man tried to regulate every step of his passport desired to. I know where she travels and with whom she contacted without permission, took her. I checked my accounts and social media. Networks. For several months, the girl was in love. She prayed her chosen one would change, and they might establish a strong, lasting connection, yet it only got worse. Mario began to consider her his property that he can dispose of, and who must do everything exactly as he says. When Denise is serious, pondered ending the relationship. She was frightened to discover that she was pregnant and didn't want to tie her give life to this man and endure continual. Denise was terrified of the harassment. Mario wouldn't let her alone anymore, at all. Additionally, she was only 17 years old. She simply wasn't prepared for motherhood and responsibility for a new little life. Denise decided to talk. She was honest with her mother and told her everything, asking for advice on how to the woman listen to her daughter and recommended her to terminate the pregnancy, adding that in any case, your options will be limited to her. Denise considered it once more, and then she took her mother's advice by having an abortion when Topanara was found. When he learned about it, he was furious with the guy. He believed that Denise had betrayed him. She had no right to do this, and only he could decide what to do with this child. Relationships eventually broke down, but the young man was not going to let Denise go. And leave her alone, he promised, to exact revenge on her for such betrayal, and to hurt her as much as she hurt him. Denise called her father in tears. Emile told him everything. Decided that his daughter should get away from all the difficult events that had rocked her peace of mind and gone. Somewhere on vacation, he paid for his ex-wife and daughter. A visit to one of the fashionable European, they visited resorts together. Denise felt better after her vacation. I calmed down a little and began to make plans for life again and appeared to no longer think about Mario. But after her trip, Denise returned. Home again, Mario did not long pine for his previous passport and almost immediately began an affair with a 19-year-old old Rocio Martinez. Is this furious? The girl was hostile and conflicted, the complete antithesis of quiet and calm. Denise might cause a controversy in the same spot, engage in a fight or throw tantrum. Rocio also experimented with illicit drugs and could easily breach the law knowing that she will not be punished for it with Mario. We instantly got together and had fun. Together, since the guy may get any, she asked for the illicit drug she wanted. Mario, on the other hand, tests the effect on himself. Couldn't forget or let go of he still sought power over his ex-girlfriend. She wanted to know where she was and what occasionally he wrote to her. In social networks, called her, and even offered to continue the relationship. Denise had a very difficult time with this split, encountered him from time to time. I chatted with him but was not going to reunite because of fear. When Martinez discovered that she, the boyfriend, was speaking with his ex, she caused a major scandal and a fit. Fury yelled that she would kill. At that point, Mario had already realized how capable his chosen one was, so he promised her that it would not happen again, because Rossio is such an the answer did not settle down, so she decided to destroy her rival, if not physically. Then morally, Rossio began calling Denise as she was showering, insulted her and wished her rapid death, yet this was not enough. She began sending texts to her adversary, with threats of severe vengeance. However, Dragon considered these threats hollow words, and did not consider it is required to contact the police because of them. During that point, Rossio became pregnant, which is the first thing she wrote to her adversary, claims that this youngster is desired and she will maintain it. For Denise, the news was a hard blow. However, Martinez's deteriorating health soon led him to addiction to illegal substances, lost the child, and all her rage she poured again. Issued a new threatening warning to Denise, is excited to start a new life. And soon forget about Mario, began an affair with a young man named Evan. The pair recently legalized their relationship. A month after meeting, the young lady went to reside at her husband's house. Apparently, Mario was hurt by his my ex-girlfriend married someone else. So fast, he began looking meetings with her again, calling, texting her. In November 2018, Mario and Rossio. We were having dinner in a little diner on the guy went to the city's outskirts. He went out for a time, leaving his phone on table. Rossio takes advantage of the moment. I decided to check it out. There, she discovered the calls and Mario had been sending texts to. Denise Martinez promptly tossed a fury. She screamed, wept, and attempted to. In retaliation, she hit her young man, Mario. Presented his girlfriend personally, clarify ties with Denise, which she quickly agreed. He took the furious Rossio to the new home of his old sweetheart and pointed to the right door. Rossio came out of the car with a knife and headed to the doorstep of her rival at Evan, had yet to return from work, and his young wife was home alone, talking on the phone with her pal, Sylvia. When she heard a knock at the door, I assumed it was her husband, and simply I opened the door without peeking through. The peephole, Denise was still conversing with her pal, so she could hear everything. What happened next? Denise spotted her ex-lover's acquaintance on the threshold. She only had time to tell her name in surprise, and loudly beforehand she got stabbed in the stomach. Following that, Rossio immediately left. The injured Denise loses consciousness. She requested her companion to phone an ambulance and informed her who had harmed her Dragon was sent to the hospital in critical condition. Doctors fought desperately for this ailment. She lived for several hours, however the wound was too deep, and she lost a lot of blood. It was unfortunately impossible to save her after. Rossio administered a fatal blow on her competitor. She hurried back to the car and jumped into it. Cabin, and ordered Mario to get out here. On the way, she disclosed everything. Together, they disposed of the criminal weapon and washed away the traces of blood off her hands and clothes, Mario. They decided it was best for them to he hid for a while and called his relatives, who resided in another city, and asked them when they arrived to visit the relatives. Thought that Rossio looked odd, felt really nervous, but she dismissed it as malaise. The pair remained overnight at Mario's, thinking about what to do while at a relative's place and how to proceed once they learned. The next morning, Denise had died from the wound. Rossio immediately phoned. She told her father everything. She was confident that her father would employ all using his connections to save her from jail. This time, however, the police officer's father did not assist his daughter, who had taken another man's life. He followed her to another city, and then he gave her up to the cops himself. One of the primary witnesses in the case, Sylvia, was the one who committed the crime. I spoke to the deceased over the phone. The case file also contained many Rossio had threatening messages. Addressed to her adversary during the course of several months ago, the defendant, she tried to conceal her culpability, but the facts and proof were against her then. Rossio apparently began to lose her nerve, and she revealed everything, provide a full summary of the attack. She mentioned that it was Mario who pushed, who drove her to the victim's house and let her take the knife was in the car. Rossio said that he wanted to take revenge on Denise with her hands. Surprisingly, Tobinera himself was only he is a witness in the case, not an accomplice. He denied his culpability and said he merely brought Rossio to his ex-girlfriend's place so that they might finally figure things out and quit feuding. He also stated that he didn't realize Rocio. I had a knife and did not see any blood, her hands or clothing when she returned. Get to his car during the next court session, the pair they denied their guilt by claiming this. When they were not present at the scene, apparently they had spent the entire evening at Mario's relative's place and Denise was fatally stabbed. Someone else, Martinez, maintained that she felt no hatred for her rival and has no reason to kill. Despite this, Rocio was guilty, proven, and she went to prison for 18 years. A half years, but Mario remained. He nearly went entirely unpunished, immediately spun a new novel and, forgetting about any prudence, began to brag that the females are ready for him, kill each other, he explained in detail. The events of that awful evening. This information rapidly reached the parents of the deceased. Denise, the Dragon family, made another appeal to the court demanding punishment for the man who was accountable for their death. Daughter, and this time top and heir, were taken into custody. However, after a few days, the individual was released on his own recognizance. At the end, he was acquitted and released. Again, Denise's parents made repeated attempts to appeal the court's judgment, requesting increase the word for Rocio and put Mario in jail as an accomplice. To this day, Mario has not been brought to justice. Thanks for watching, guys. That was Jack. Subscribe to the channel there. There will be many shocking stories coming, as I'll see you guys again.